I don't even need to introduce my man here, but I'm going to anyways. We got Tim from Online Big Blue in the building. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be somewhere else for a change.
You know
And now
what?
I'm in Brooklyn.
I love it. I'm glad you're able to catch the flight. You always have me on the channel. Definitely wanted to get you on here, and I'm appreciative that you took your time, to really do that for me. But I feel like we got quite a bit to talk about. We had
Why? Something happens on Sunday?
Yeah, right. Something small happened, right? Um, but I do think that that is up there with the upset of the year. One of the upsets. I think the only game you could kind of put up there would be when Las Vegas took down Kansas City. I think that was an
That was
upset.
a big one. But I don't think it was on that level. I don't think it was on
No,
the level of the Giant game.
no, that's the only game I could think of this year where it's like, okay, that was an upset. But this game, front to back, I'll be honest, I had us losing. You and I spoke about this. I had us losing 28-14. You were one of the only Giants YouTubers that actually predicted us to win. You almost nailed the score. You had us 17-10, right?
That damn safety.
Hey, look, I'll take the safety other than it being a touchdown, man. I'll
I
take it.
bet on that game, and if they didn't get that damn safety, I would have cleaned up because I had the score nailed.
Oh my, you know what? You better share that money, man.
I didn't win though.
I know. I'm just saying if you would have won it. But I wanted to get I wanted to get your takeaways. What were some of your takeaways from the game that you personally saw that stood out to you?
One of the big things I saw, and I don't think he gets enough. The D gets all the credit, and they really do. They played a almost perfect, flawless game. The
Absolutely.
rookies came into play. Carter Coughlin, Cam Brown. They were able to maintain their assignments. They held their edge. They kept their containment. It was just a flawless game from the defensive standard. Leonard Williams with 2.5 sacks.
Great.
But I think the unsung hero that no one talks about is Colt McCoy. And
Really?
people are like, well, he was only this for 101 yards, and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Colt McCoy did what he was told to do. The whole game, especially in the first half, was predicated on setting up the run. And then what happened after halftime? They came out, they shocked him with the pass to Alfred Morris, and then they shocked him with the other pass on the 2-point conversion to Alfred Morris. So really what Colt did is that there's 2 types of quarterbacks, and I've said it before. There's game managers and game winners. And Colt McCoy was the game manager who won the game. And he is the perfect person for, and I've said this before, he's the perfect person for this game, for this team for 1 week, because Daniel Jones has he has propensity of making mistakes, and he tries to do too much. And I never felt that Colt McCoy was ever going to try to do too much, that he was always going to make sure that he didn't make the mistake that cost the Giants the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you. I had very little hope in Colt McCoy. I wasn't sure how he was going to play a full game. We saw a little bit of him in Cincinnati. Obviously, he wasn't going to go out there and win us the game on his shoulders. He had to knock off some rust. He said it himself. He wanted to take it back a bunch of plays. He wanted to knock off some rust. He felt like he did. But I do think that my trust in Colt McCoy has definitely, I'm not going to say I'm fully there, but I'm going to say I'm about 40%. I'm about
40%. Wait, you may have him again this week.
You know what? And I'm okay with that. And looking at Arizona, they were looking hot. And Kyler Murray, bangs up his shoulder. He hasn't really been the same. They've been kind of unraveling. And I don't think it's impossible to rule out that they may have Daniel Jones miss another game with how Colt McCoy's been playing. I don't think that's kind of crazy to rule out. I think he did better than what we hoped.
Oh, in my mind, he definitely did. And like I said, I want people to and it's going to be, and I said it before, the Daniel Jones haters are never going to see past Daniel Jones' flaws, and the Daniel Jones apologists are never going to see his flaws. So it's going to be an imperfect world for Colt McCoy. He's going to have to deal with all that because he's going to get stuck between both of those levels and hopefully just try to come out and win another game if he starts on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think it would be the worst thing for the Giants to start Colt
No.
McCoy because look, and you said this to me when I was on your show last week, and it really stuck to me. And I was having a conversation with one of my subscribers the other day where hamstring injuries, I can't think of a player that came back from that injury, even if it was a tweak in 1 week.
Oh no.
I can't.
Mainly, you think about it anywhere between if it's a tweak, you're looking at maybe 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, easily. And with how Daniel Jones has been playing in the scheme that Jason Garrett has been drawing up, with him leaving the pocket a lot, these RPOs that he's been doing, even if he were to play in Arizona, I'm not expecting those kind of plays because I don't think they want to risk him re-injuring that. If you already have to worry about re-injuring that, just sit him for another week.
Yeah, well, the Arizona also has a fairly good defense. So, and we have to remember, Daniel Jones hasn't had any really big runs since going back to the Eagle game. And the problem is Jason Garrett, he predicates and builds his offense for Daniel Jones with his running, and they're all scripted plays.
Yeah.
They're not improvisations. He's scripting the play and telling them, okay, the defense is playing over aggressive, and when they do this, you do this. And recently he's been doing 4 carries for 11 yards, 6 carries for 15, because the defense, and it's the NFL. The NFL will adjust and they will understand. And the Bengals did a great job. They maintained their containment and they made sure that they didn't fall for the zone read.
Yeah, they
did. And that's what's going to happen now with Daniel Jones. And so he's going to have to kind of change. Jason Garrett's going to have to kind of change the game again and make Daniel Jones into more of a thrower that he was in his rookie season.
Yeah, and outside of the hamstring injury, I always had concerns with Daniel running the ball because I don't think he knows how to properly slide or when
no, he doesn't.
Slide. I like the aggressiveness, but I don't want my quarterback being out with the concussion.
I don't want him getting killed. If he's our franchise guy, you don't want him going head first, or that he does a weird hook slide when he goes down.
Yes, he does.
It's like you're not going into second, dude. You just do it the right way.
But you notice that these other QBs in the league, like Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, they know when to get down.
Yeah.
Now you could credit that to their baseball background, but they know how to get down. They know.
I think a lot of it is, and I've said it before, that Daniel Jones does not have an awesome feel for the game when he's on the field. His blindside awareness is still not there. His ability to climb the ladder in the pocket is suspect at best. And running out of the pocket and sliding, that is another skill in reference to awareness or field awareness.
That's true.
So, and you hope that it's something, a lot of times it's an innate ability that people have, and you hope over time, it can't be taught, but you hope over time he figures it out or he's going to get killed.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the last thing that I need, you could kind of look at what happened with Carson Wentz with his injury.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
No.
I don't think it was worth that at all for him leaving the pocket. And, even with that, the fact that he dove and it led to a leg injury, I think that with, these QB runs, a lot of the time, we think of concussions, we think about, are they sliding correctly, but we don't really take into consideration, hamstring injuries or, look at what happened with Carson Wentz, the kind of injury that he had. I just think that they need to be very careful with Daniel Jones going down the stretch. Now, I don't want to just say, we need to be careful with him because of the playoffs. I want to be careful with him just for his overall health.
Right, for his entire career. But how much respect do people have to have now for Eli Manning?
Oh, a lot.
Eli Manning never missed a start for injury. This is the second time in 2 seasons that Daniel Jones has gone down. I remember back in, 2007, where Eli hurt his shoulder, and they said he was going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, and still suited it up the next week.
Iron Man, I'll tell you that much. I've always had an appreciation for Eli. I know my brother and my sister watch this show, so they know that I'm telling the truth here. I would defend Eli, even at his worst.
Yeah, there were some bad moments.
I have no issue stating that, but I have grown a strong appreciation for Eli, especially looking at Daniel Jones's turnovers. I kind of miss when Eli would just dump it off to the running back. pick up 2-3 yards and
Yep.
kind of check it down. And that actually leads me to my second question I wanted to ask you, where, when we were at 1-7, in my mind, it didn't feel like a 1-7 team. I thought that this team had a lot of potential. I thought that they were in games outside of the San Francisco game. But I wanted to get your thoughts on how has this team really progressed in your eyes compared to when we were 1-7, looking at, okay, we're probably not going to win this division. We're going to look at next season, and now look at us. We're 5-7, first place in the division. Washington may lose today against Pittsburgh. Dallas is most likely going to lose tomorrow against Baltimore. We're looking pretty good, but what are some of your thoughts on how this team has progressed since being 1-7?
The only thing is anything can happen in the NFL.
Absolutely.
We all wrote the Giants off at 1-7. I don't want to hear anyone say, "Oh well, I believed in them." No, we all wrote the Giants off.
We did.
That's just the way it is. And they always say it doesn't matter how many points you win by or how many points you lose by. A loss is a loss and a win is a win. And they had 1 win and 7 losses.
Yeah.
How they progress from there, a lot of it is the fact from the defense, and we just play in a bad division.
That's true.
And I even said before, even if you're the best of the worst, you're still number 1.
I'll take it.
But I mean, they have a defense. Yeah. And they've always had a defense. And I have said since the first day of the season, we have a top 10 defense. And I took so much crap for weeks, and I kept saying, no, this is a top 10 defense. So just wait and see. The offense has always been a concern in my mind. And I think what happened is over the last 4 weeks is they mitigated the turnovers from Daniel Jones. They've taken that out of the game, and they've really asked Daniel Jones just to manage the game. And I think that if you take a look at the games we lost, the majority of them were lost because of Daniel Jones.
Absolutely.
So if you take away those mistakes and you have a top 5, top 10 defense, you're going to start winning games. We're just lucky that our division is so bad that, 5-7 can help you capture the division. Because there have been plenty of teams with terrible offenses and great defenses that never won any, didn't win a lot of games. There's the Atlanta teams in the early 80s, or I should say the early 80s, they had the opposite. They had a great offense and no defense. So we just kind of reversed that. So, I mean, I think the two factors were the last 4 weeks, Daniel Jones isn't turning over the ball. We're not asking him to do too much in the game. And we have a great defense.
No, I agree with you there. And, looking at this defense, we know as fans, and, I see other, people that are, fans of other teams, they're very quick to jump on the Giants. They're very quick to, call out the holes that we have, which we do have holes on this team. Let's be honest. But I got to give a lot of credit to Patrick Graham because we don't have a solid number 2 corner.
No.
We don't have a definitive edge rusher coming off the ball. And you can make the argument we don't have a solid linebacker outside of Blake Martinez. And we're still able to shut down teams. I mean, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks came in as the 3rd most scoring offense in the league, and we held them to 12 points.
The only problem with the Giants right now is the fact that they are a team of substitution. They are a team of circumstance. They are they're a team of situation. And that's how they're rotating in their players. The offensive line, this rotation is maybe going to work for this season. I guarantee it will not work next season because the NFL, and I've spent time in the NFL and the AFL. I will tell you this: it's like when the pistol offense was the big craze, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's here to stay." And I kept saying, "No, defensive coordinators are going to figure this out, and they're going to stop it because it's a college offense." Yeah. What's going to happen is people are going to get film on the Giants, especially the offensive line, and start understanding Will Hernandez comes in on this formation and the Giants run these 3 plays. Shane Lemieux, Matt from Connecticut, who I still like to call him, he comes in at this play position at this point in time in the game, and they run these plays. They are already building this diary of information, or library of information on the Giants and their substitutions. Now it'll work more on defense, but the problem is on the defensive end is you're never really building talent. We're never really going to know how much talent we have in Carter Coughlin or Cam Brown or Tay Crowder, because the fact of one of those guys goes down an injury, with an injury, and then we have to play someone an extended period of time, we have no idea if they can handle, and carry that load. So why this is great this season right now, I'm not seeing this being a long-term answer in reference to being able to carry the success over for an extended period of time in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, prior to Joe Judge, I hadn't have heard a team substitute their offensive linemen in and out of the games. We've been seeing Shane Lemieux kind of play the fullback. I haven't seen that, and it's working. But as you stated, that teams are going to pick onto this. They are going to kind of realize, okay, when he's standing in this formation, they're going to do this. So,
right.
You hope that next year, they come in a little bit better prepared in that aspect. But for the time being, it's working. So I can't complain on it. But I do think that, I got to give a lot of credit to Joe Judge and his crew for
you got to give tons of credit. Joe Judge, Patrick Graham, Jason Garrett, because they're doing what it takes to win games.
Yeah.
And that's what it is in the NFL. Yes, you need to develop and build talent, but at the end of the day, you have to win.
Yeah, I don't even mind having an ugly loss. I mean, excuse me, an ugly win.
Win is a win.
Exactly.
Like I said, there's no column that says you won by 50 or you won by 1.
Exactly. And I do think, because I've seen a lot of Giants YouTubers get on Dave Gettleman, they knocked him, which there's a lot of, things. We can go into the signings, we can go into the trades, contracts that he's done, where it's suspect. But I thought he had a very good offseason. You look at the players he's brought in, you looked at how he drafted. In your mind, how are you viewing Dave Gettleman? Are you on board with him staying next year?
He's going to stay. And I've done videos on this. He's going to stay. You have to give him another year, but you have to also remember his first and second drafts aren't looking too great.
They're not. They're not at all.
Right now, he reminds me of the Jerry Reese's drafts in 2007 and 2011, where he found talent, and it may have been a short-term talent, but he found the talent to help win games. So if you're basing it off his entire body of work, no, he probably should be fired. But right now, the way he's winning and the way the Giants win and the way his draft picks this year are playing and Leonard Williams is playing, yeah, you have to give him another year.
Yeah,
I've been saying that now for weeks. I mean, you can't get rid of him, but you also have to be optimistically cautious to see what you have in him.
Absolutely, because looking at it, I liked his first draft, but then you saw as the next year came, and then this year where those pieces aren't looking too good. I had high hopes for Will Hernandez, and it's like when he was missing time due to COVID, Shane Lemieux looked pretty solid. I actually thought the line played better with
Shane Lemieux. They still have.
Yeah, I thought the offensive line looked great, and I do agree there, because that is a concern of mine with Gettleman, where the first year he drafted these players, not talking about this season, but they looked solid. Then the next year they kind of took a step back, and we were like, okay, maybe a sophomore slump.
Well, they always say you can't judge a class till after the third season.
Yes.
But the issue is right now his first class is not looking good. It's not looking good at all. I mean, outside of Barkley, and Lorenzo Carter going down, I mean, who's really played outstanding football?
None. I mean, Will Hernandez has been, in my honest opinion, average. And
average
that's not a knock on him. Yeah, that's not a knock on really him, but it's just last year he, in my opinion, didn't have a good year.
No, he regressed.
Looking okay, but when I saw how the line played with him out of the lineup, I thought that really spoke to the woes that we have with Will Hernandez. I know you've told me before that you don't think that some of Nate Solder's deficiencies were really Nate Solder's issues.
Well, and look at Andrew Thomas.
Andrew
Andrew
Thomas as well.
Thomas, jumps, all of a sudden becomes Andrew Thomas after Will Hernandez goes down. Will Hernandez has a propensity of missing assignments. And what's happening is, and even he did it yesterday too, because there was 2 plays that he actually helped block the center's man. And it was interesting because I think it was a play that Dion Lewis got run over on, and it almost seems like he missed the assignment that he was supposed to cover. And he does, and if you watch him, there was, I think it was St. Louis, the Arizona game last year, where you really did see him not seem to know what his blocking assignment was and who he should be picking up, because there were times that he let an open man come by him from his one side, and that left a lane open because Nate Solder is trying to loop around and contain the edge from the other side, which left someone coming right up the middle. And even as that position, you need to chip block sometimes, or you need to chip block, engage, and then move on. And I don't see him doing that quite a bit. And people are like, well, you always say that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do a film breakdown of it one day. I get my new computer on Thursday, so we'll be able to figure it out by then. But there are some deficiencies in his game, and I'm very surprised that he has not progressed, or he actually seems to be getting worse from his first season. And his first season was not that great either.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I mean, I know that when we drafted him, you had a lot of people saying that was a steal in the draft.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, I mean, it looked solid. I thought it made sense considering, Eli needed some help. You're going to draft a running back in the first round. Obviously, you need to address the offensive line because the offensive line was horrid at that point. So I get the signing, but looking at it now, it's not looking too good. But I do got to give credit where credit is due. And I mean, this draft is looking pretty good. You saw in Seattle where Carter Coughlin was looking good. Tay Crowder, had a sack. These players are looking good. And I got to give credit for Joe Judge having these players prepared, because a lot of the time these 6th and 7th round picks sometimes don't even make the team.
No, majority of the time they don't.
They don't, or they don't even see the field. I mean, RJ McIntosh, I haven't seen him. I have not seen him on the field. I remember we picked up, I think it was his first draft. We picked up an offensive tackle in the 7th round, Josiah, something like that.
Oh yeah, he's
I don't even know where he's at. I don't even know if he's on the team anymore. So
I know he's not. I don't know where he is. How about Chad Wheeler, man?
I was gonna say that next. How
glad are we that we got rid of Chad?
I remember this, and I'm not gonna call out no Giants YouTubers, but I remember there was Giants YouTubers saying that they wanted to keep Chad Wheeler on the roster.
I was so happy when they let him go. I never understood the love affair with Chad Wheeler. Never did.
I didn't like him. And you saw how he's doing in Seattle, and it's like he was missing assignments left and right. He was, oh my goodness, he looked like he had no idea what he was doing on that field. As a Giants fan, I love it because I didn't want to keep Chad Wheeler. And
Leonard Williams should send him a present.
Oh yeah. And man, I know we could talk about Leonard Williams for quite some time. I mean, I, as well as a lot of fans, kind of scratched their heads with the trade. I don't want that 3 and a 5 back. I really don't. I'm happy with Leonard Williams. He, as Joe Judge said,
are you going to be happy with Leonard Williams if he's not here next year?
To be honest with you, I don't want to pay Leonard Williams. I have no issue saying that, because I just think that, he's playing great. He's having a career year, but he's also playing for a contract. And we've seen.
Well, you got to remember, 27 years old is usually the peak year. He's 26, but 27 is usually the peak year for NFL players. Yeah. So which means he would probably have by that logic, he might have a better season next year.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen players, though, where they play high and then they get their contract and they kind of fall back a little bit. And that's what I get scared with. And you were the only YouTuber again. And before I get into this take really quick, I want to say this. I am tired of Tim making points and calling things out, and then he doesn't get credit for it. I'm tired of it because you were the only person I know that said he wanted Aaron Donald money. Everybody's saying, no, he wants 10 million. He wants 11 million. And then it comes out, he wants Aaron Donald money. I'm sorry. I love Leonard Williams. He's having a great year. I would much rather put that to keeping Dalvin, maybe putting some of that money to Jabril Peppers, or just fixing some
Well,
people.
we got Peppers for one more year because we picked
do.
up the 5th-year option, so we got at least it for next year. So I mean,
But
and
I'm not
Peppers
that
is
fan
one of
of
those guys that's just maddening. You never know which Peppers is going to play. Is it going to be the guy that looks like an all pro, or you going to be the guy that looks like you scratch your head going, how did he make that mistake?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this much. Last year with Jabril Peppers, and he's my favorite player on this defense. Last year with Jabril Peppers, he kind of reminded me of Landon Collins. Not good Landon Collins, let me say that. But he reminded me of Landon Collins. He
A little
wasn't
bit.
good in coverage. He was good in the box, but he wasn't good in coverage. And you've seen him kind of take that step forward this year where, I love that sack that he had on Russell Wilson. He knocked over the
Oh yeah.
quarterback. Kind of reminded me of when Jamal Adams kind of manhandled Daniel Jones last year for that fumble touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, that strip sack touchdown. So
Yeah. We don't talk about that.
no. I'm gonna erase that. I'm not gonna even look at it. I'm gonna erase it. But if it's up to me, I want to get more players. I want to develop them. I mean, I have faith in BJ Hill. I know he hasn't seen the field too much, but I thought that he was a fairly solid signing. I thought that with the opportunities he's been given, he's pretty decent. And I think that we've seen with Patrick Graham, he's able to take players like your best friend Isaac Yadam and make them look pretty decent. Where it takes them a little bit to get adjusted to the scheme, but once they get a grip of it, he uses them to their fullest potential, I think. So I would like to see how BJ Hill does, but if they sign Leonard Williams, I'm not gonna have an issue with it. I just hope that he keeps up the same production.
Yeah, I don't like I said with the cap situation, and a lot of people forget the Nate Solder contract basically just froze.
Yep.
So he still gets that guaranteed money next year. So we're still, and he also has a $2.5 million there's a $2.5 million restructure of the salary on that deal as well for the next 3 years or 2 years. So I mean, we're at 18 million. We release Kevin Zeidler. That's like another 12 or 14. You're probably going to get rid of Tate, which is another 8. So you can have 38 million in cap space, but you're going to really take 18 to 20 and give it to Leonard Williams and hope that he is going to be Michael Strahan?
I can't. I really can't. And it's no knock on Leonard Williams. But
No, it's not a knock on Leonard Williams at all. It's not a knock on Leonard Williams this year. It would have been more of a knock on, half a sack Leonard Williams last year.
And you know what? I like that. I love that for Leonard Williams where, he's really stepped up and he's looking like a dominant defender. But
Yep.
I just think that, if he doesn't get the contract here, he'll get it somewhere else.
Well, yeah, someone will pay him.
But, I think we'll see next year with how, if the cap drops, I think we might see a lot of 1-year contracts next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless there's some amazement with the revenue, and they're going to find revenue sharing. I mean, for the revenue sharing, they're going to find revenue someplace else. You have to suspect the cap will go down maybe 10, 15 million.
Yeah, and that to a lot of people that doesn't sound like a lot.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money to where, I mean, looking at our cap situation going into next year, it's like, we may have some flexibility, but I'm not looking to.
You got to remember, you have almost 11% of the cap tied up into Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I want to, because you said Saquon Barkley. I also want to get this out there before anything. I am not in favor of trading Saquon Barkley. I know that Wayne Gallman is having a career year. Alfred Morris is looking like he's turning back the hands of time a little bit. But let's be honest, guys. I mean, they're not Saquon Barkley. Saquon would have took that 60-yard run to the house, and it makes me excited going into next year, seeing the holes that they're creating for Gallman, seeing the RPO working with Daniel Jones. It kind of makes me curious to how that's going to translate going into next year, to where he hasn't been able to run behind a good offensive line.
No. And if they keep gelling, he'll have that opportunity. I mean, Wayne Gallman's a great story, but he's Orleans Darkwa. And I've said this before, Orleans had, he was on the same team with the rookie year with Gallman, and he led the team in rushing.
Yep.
And then that last game against Washington was his last game in the NFL.
Yep.
And it happens. It happens with running backs. you could be fantastic. I mean, Timmy Smith for the Redskins in the Super Bowl, 200-something yards, out of the league a year and a half later. Running backs flame out. And you need to be, and it's not that I think Wayne Gallman's going to flame out, but you need to see Wayne Gallman be consistent over 16 weeks, not over 6.
I agree with you there. And I mean, I think that he's growing as a player. He used to have a lot of fumbling woes, but I think that he's definitely got that cleared up. I know that
and now it's he's going to fumble twice next week.
Please no. Where's some wood?
That's why I didn't say that.
I'm knocking on wood right now because he had that issue. He had that issue, and that was one of my concerns with Wayne Gallman, with him being the lead back, with Saquon being out. But I think that, he's showing that he can complement Saquon Barkley fairly well. I'm kind of wondering what he's going to want contract-wise. But I do think that he may stay with the Giants next year. I don't see him going to another team. I think the Giants might give him a good contract, but it's a cap-friendly contract to where they could still go out, maybe get a player or two or keep some players back on the lineup.
Yeah.
But, that's all we got for today. I want to thank Tim again. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to pull a you really quick. I'm going to leave you with the final thought, man.
My final thought, oh my goodness, I'm not used to having the final thought, but my final thought is enjoy it while you can, guys, because we don't know what's going to happen. You have a thought that Cleveland might be getting ready to fall apart and they pull a 45-point game, even though they gave up 30-something after that.
Yeah.
You have this feeling that Arizona's dropping down, but you never know with any team that's got Hopkins and Fitzgerald and Kyler Murray, you need to be careful of. Baltimore, once they get over this hump with the COVID situation, we don't know what they're going to look like coming back, but they may turn back into the Ravens. And like I said, the only game that I think is a true lock is the Dallas game. So whatever happens these next 3 weeks, enjoy it. It's the first time we have meaningful football with the New York Football Giants in years. And that's just what we got to do. And again, Mr. Hit Squad, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on and speak to you again, of course, about the New York Football Giants.
Absolutely, man. And I got to agree with you there. Enjoy it, Giants fans. I mean, because I remember back in 2016, I thought we were going to take the division again going into 2017. And
it didn't work.
I've been very depressed since. So, you know what? Enjoy it. Definitely enjoy it. But thank you for coming on, man. We'll have you on soon.
I appreciate it.